Speaking of fascinating, before the match between Diesel and Sid here in your house, we do get a promo that I had to include as our clip this week. It makes me laugh every time I see it, and it's actually become kind of like an internet phenomenon where people will say Jim Ross's line to one another. I'll let you watch here, and we can talk about it.
A lot of people say that your desire to control the WWF Championship is more like an obsession. Are you obsessed with obtaining the WWF title?
You might say that, Jim Ross. You might say that I am obsessed with gaining the World Wrestling Federation title because, you see, by winning the title and bringing it to the corporation, it gives me a tremendous amount of leverage within the World Wrestling Federation. As you know, I always like to have the upper hand. And as far as me not being able to have bought the title, when this man walks in that ring tonight and walks out with that belt, I will have, in fact, bought the title because he works for me.
Sid, I've got a question for you. We all know that you can bring the heavy offense, but there are a lot of skeptics that think that perhaps you can't take it, that you can't take the punishment that Diesel will give you tonight. How do you address those skeptics?
Well, the skeptics and all the people have a little bit of... Let me do this again.
Oh, it's live, Hal.
Sorry. Anybody has any doubt will get their answer tonight.
Well, there you hear it, a man, a few words. Psycho said. Back to you, Todd.
We're live, pal. That's become kind of like a thing online now. people say it to one another all the time to this day, all these years later, 28 years ago. Just yikes, man. I mean, you're standing there for it. Do you just shake your head? Do you laugh? Do you offer him advice afterwards? How does that go?
No, there wasn't much anybody could say. I mean, like they weren't gonna, I don't know if those were live. If that interview was live, like he didn't know what he was going to say, or he messed up what he was saying, and he said, "Let's do it again." And it's basically, it's live. You can't do it again, dumbass. So anyway.
Oh man, just amazing. I mean, we've discussed your ring and your mic skills here before, and it does make me wonder, you're paired with a talent like Sid, who's, he's not great in the ring. He had his moments as on the mic, as you mentioned. As his manager, are you like offering advice, or was your relationship with him not quite like that?
From time to time I would, I would suggest something to him, but I mean, it's kind of like, personality wise, I mean, he's going to do what he wants to do. I could tell he wasn't interested in hearing what anybody else had to say, and that was his biggest problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like, I know it all, I can do it all, and it was just, he wasn't a bad guy. He's just a strange guy. I think a lot of my peers would agree with me. It was like, he wasn't a totally bad guy. I mean, he could, there were times when he could be really funny and have a lot of fun, and he did love, absolutely. He just lived for to play softball, for sure. I mean, he had all kinds of softball stories, but I don't know, just different guy, just a real different guy.